You've most probably begin to notice that everything in your life has been coming together like a well-written story. Like, when I see how my life is evolving, it just looks like it would be pre-written sometimes. You go through certain really challenging periods and you think how crazy it can be until all those challenges slowly turn into new birth, right? And you experience these fruits of your past efforts and you recognize, okay, I needed to go through this. And once you go through it, you start looking at challenges a bit differently. And I've noticed in my life, when I've changed this perception around challenges, I've noticed, okay, those are actually my times to get better at something. Every time I get challenged now, I just see it, okay, it's time to get better at something. It's time to find new doors that are maybe right now invisible, but I know they are there for me to open them. And then I will work on being really, really patient with myself, because I know that everything is evolving with the right pace. Not the fast pace, not the slow pace, but with the right pace, according to my ability to perceive what I need to perceive to grow. So everything is evolving as it should. And if everything is evolving as it should, then I should stop blaming whatever for not liking it. I actually have to learn to accept what is present in my life and really take the best out of it. Really look at it and see it as a story that is evolving into an end that should be written by us. You see, there's a story evolving. Your life is like a book, and you see only what happened. You see only the past chapters, but the future chapters are about to be written by you. And those who are not writing the future chapters are repeating the old ones, constantly reminiscing in the old ones, thinking about them, talking about them, complaining, judging, and everything we know based by what we've been through, right? But if you've ever indulged yourself into writing, you most probably know that if you want to write about something new, you have to learn firstly about something new. Let's say you're writing a book that includes some scientific data. You have to study some data. You have to get yourself into some new studies, right? And research. So if we want to write a future chapters of our lives, we have to study something new, like something we want to experience, right? And to study something new means that we get into whatever we feel excited about. And that's how we get ourselves onto this new path, a new timeline, a new way that introduces us to whole new challenges, whole new people, whole new experiences, and whole new things, but also whole new triggers we had no idea that may be bothering us, only so we can deal with that, right? And know ourselves a little bit better. And sometimes, people go through burnouts and people go through fights and separations in relationships only to find out what is not working for them and what patterns are the ones that actually made it happen. So we reflect on them and recognize, okay, here is what I could do in the future differently. And the future starts with right now's choices, right? So you're most probably recognizing that everything is starting to make sense, and you're beginning to see that the challenges you faced have ignited your curiosity and courage, enabling you to step into the unknown and make some beneficial changes in your life. Have you noticed that? Because I know for myself, for me, I've been through many unknown experiences in my life. when I've started really following my heart, this thing that started calling me, like making art, learning about what's possible to do with or through self-expression if you really become a project of your life. At some point I've decided I want to be a project of my life. I want to be a project of what is possible if I decide to heal myself, if I decide to not live based by certain beliefs, but actually to unfold a story based by or from my curiosity for the unknown, for learning something new. If so many people believe into a certain concept, let's question that concept and let's see where can I find some maybe constructive explanations about it, and then let's put it into practice. Let's see what works. And when I've started working on this journey, there was not so much of good information out there that is today. What was really active back at that time was the Law of Attraction, The Secret book, the movie The Secret, and all the books around mindset and positive thinking and things like that. Right now we have much better information, much deeper insights about psychology, psychiatry, neuroscience, neuroplasticity, neurofeedback, and things that right now we have so much, let's say, a better quality of understanding, quantum physics, how epigenetic works, how can we influence the genes in our bodies, how can we influence reality when we change our perception, when we shift our expectations for what is possible, and so on. There's so much of good information now, but the point is that we question whatever we come across until we become so interested about it that we kind of become obsessed about it. And obsessed in a positive way, like, okay, if so many people found it helpful, let's see what can happen out of it, right? I think that's what puts us into that new journey. In the past, most people believe that life just is how it is presented to them. But later people recognize that actually life is how we are programmed to believe that it is. And then later we found out life is as we are and as we look at it. And if we change the way we are, we change the way we look at life. If we change ourselves, we change our lives. We change our mindset. We change the way we feel about ourselves. And we change the way we behave. We change the way we talk, we speak. And at some point, we most probably find something we are really passionate about, really enthusiastic about, right? Filled with God, filled with spirit, something that just charges us to work on it. Like to me, when I quitted my job and I went to travel, I just started feeling this strong sense to start drawing. So I had a small notebook with me and I've started drawing whatever I saw, landscapes, boats and trees and things. I was drawing like whatever inspired me. And because of that, I've noticed that sometimes because of too many distractions, we don't even hear what our heart has to say, what we feel deep inside that would be good for us. So it's important to detach from distractions so we can establish deeper relationships with who we truly are, because in the noises of society, we can easily forget who we are on that quiet level. And because of all the noises, and because we are so used to the noises, we don't even know how to calm down those noises. Because even when we come into a quiet place, we hear noises of the mind that are reflections of the world we're living in. So we have to learn the nature of our minds, right? Buddhist monks are constantly talking about nature of the mind. So what is the nature of your mind? That's something you have to recognize. To me, I've recognized it in sports. Many of you know I'm coming from extreme sports, freestyle mountain biking. In that sport, I've learned so much about my mind because, when you're preparing yourself for the competition, there's a lot of stress and anxiety, but also a lot of adrenaline. So before you start, you feel anxious, but as soon as you start, you get into the flow state. And there's just a moment of anticipation and waiting and being stressed out before you drop in. Once you drop in, everything is gone and you become completely present with what you're doing, and what you're doing suddenly becomes a play until you start reflecting once again what you were doing, and you experience stress and fear and anxiety. So you recognize, okay, in the flow state, there is no me, there's only playfulness. There's no observation and analyzing and objectifying. It's just being there, playing, dancing on life, right? So I've recognized, okay, the nature of my mind is not only noises that I'm hearing, it's also this beautiful playfulness that happens when I'm not in tune with these noises. So there's the other side of me that is playfulness, that happens if I enter into this flow state. And to enter the flow state is sometimes challenging because we can't think ourselves into playfulness. We can't say to ourselves, okay, right now I will be playful, and you suddenly become playful. It doesn't work like that. You have to find something you're so passionate about, you're so interested about, that it just draws you into its doing, into its whatever it is. Like painting, for example. When I'm painting, I have a vision of what I'm painting. And because the canvas in front of me is blank, I know that from here to that vision, there's like a gap. And that gap needs to be builded or connected or unified with a bridge. And then for me to grab a brush and use colors is like building a bridge. And each line is something that makes this bridge a bit more evolved. And this evolution from where I am to where I want to be is then a journey of playfulness. So this is a real source of happiness, is this journey of playfulness, of solving problems, solving challenges, growing, finding information that can improve our lives, and constantly looking at everything from a standpoint of an observer, like, okay, yeah, this is challenging, but am I really enjoying that? Or where can I find a bit more joy? Where have I lost my joy? Because really joy is this emotion that makes our lives more meaningful, more playful. And joy puts us into the flow state. I mean, not that we're joyful all the time when we're doing something, but we experience this sense of focus, being really alert, present with what we're doing. And it just feels like we don't care about anything else but doing it. And when doing becomes something meaningful, like for some people it may be taking drugs, and for other people it may be building something helpful for society or for community. Like maybe fixing houses can put someone into a flow state. Or writing books for kids maybe, can put someone into a flow state. So once we recognize that everything challenging in our lives was only kinda turning us towards what is truly meant for us, like We don't burn out for no reason. We burn out because we're doing something for what we've lost, the passion. Because the amount of work I put into what I'm doing would for most people cause a burnout. But actually every time I finish what I'm doing, I feel more alive than before I've started. Because what I'm doing is making me feel even more alive, because that's why I'm here to do more of it. To be a messenger, to be an artist, to be a source of inspiration, to express this energy. That's why I'm here. And once we find something like that, and you shouldn't force yourself into finding it, because once we are forcing ourselves to find something, we never find it. We only push it away. Because the real things should be found when we don't expect them to be found. That's when the magic happens, right? As soon as you start searching for the magic, you will not see it anywhere. That's why analytical people usually don't believe into these things. Because if they look at them, they never experience them. But those who are more spontaneous, more open-minded, they see so much magic all around them. Because they are not searching for it. They're open and they experience it. Of course, both of these two sides have then challenging aspects. If you're too open, you become less organized, right? And you start only floating in the magic, forgetting that you're also here on a physical mission. You have to then organize that whatever found you magically and make something helpful out of it. Like when a vision finds me for a new painting, it would be nothing helpful if I would not paint it. And then if I would not do something with that painting so I can bring it to you. And behind it, there's a lot of work I don't like to do so much, but it's still necessary for me to bring it to you. So we find that balance then between what we love to do, what we are playful at, what truly feels like a playfulness, and then what feels like organizing and structuring and making order in our lives. And together we create yin-yang balance, right? Feminine and masculine aspects. And if we are able to find this wonderful balance, we'll be exhausting and recharging ourselves at the same time. And that will put us into balance. But when people are hearing this kind of stories, people say, well, I wish I would have this balance, or I wish I would already have what I love to do. I can tell you I've started researching this around 2013, 2014, and right now we are in 2023, right? And this is the year when I'm really figuring these things out. How much actually each year was leading me into where I am today. And in the past, I would say same thing. In 2014, I would wish I would have something I'm really passionate about. Back at that time, I had a job that was a great job, but I was not so fulfilled there. And I had many great relationships and all of that, but nothing was really sparking that sense of great meaning. I was more than anything like escaping from there. But at some point, things started clicking because I was constantly looking on life through the lens of curiosity. And that's what I think that makes this life really an adventure. An adventure is not something that's always joyful. Like if you've been on a travel anytime that was that the core intention of traveling was really to recharge your soul, not to have great organized plans like what buildings to see and what museums and galleries and people to see and all of that. You've been more like a free spirit. You know that as much as there was many beautiful moments, there was also many dark moments, because sometimes when we are not well organized, we experience this chaotic sensation like, oh, I have a lot of time and I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, and we become stressed out. And often stress is caused because of lack of plans. But we need to go through these phases as well to learn how we are functioning and when we need plans and when we need to be free, right? And to learn all of that, we need to go through these errors of life, where it doesn't mean that life has errors, but our expectations are causing them. And we're breaking and breaking and breaking over and over again our expectations until we learn to live without them, to have a vision, to have goals, but don't expect anything to happen the way we're intending to experience it. But rather have a vision for it and work hard on it. But at the same time stay open, because things may find you in a completely different light than you're imagining it. And if you're able to stay open like that, you will notice that much greater things will find you than you're imagining. And I can tell you that because I've experienced this, and I know many people that have experienced that in my life. And I know many times you have experienced that. When you've forgotten about something you wanted, and then it happened in a much greater way than you could ever imagine. So what I wanted to remind you with today's video is just to step backwards a little bit from the way you want things to be or expect things to be, and look at your timeline from a wider perspective. You're a tiny dot on such a vast line. And this tiny dot is experiencing maybe tiny challenges right now, or tiny roadblocks that may seem huge to you. But when you step back and change your perspective, you recognize those are stepping stones. And stepping stones leads you what? Onto a second floor, or third, or fifth one, right? That leads to leveling up. And that's what we're doing all the time. So in the future, when comes the moment of this great realization, we say, oh, I was so hard on myself back at that time, but actually at the end, everything worked out. So the next time, I just want to remember this feeling to not be so hard on myself. So if you find yourself right now somewhere where it feels to be hard, I just want to acknowledge you. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself, my friend, because everything will work out if you will work out, right? If you will work through this, everything will work out. But even if you stop and pause and recharge, be okay with that. You deserve it. So my friend, I hope you found something valuable today. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. Till next time, one love.